year is 2020. The COVID virus rampages through quieted cities, and the isolation of quarantine tears at the fabric of society. Depression, anxiety, and despair reign over all. What could we do to occupy our minds? To pursue the social interaction of which we were starved? To create beautiful works of art and craft narratives? To find meaning? Paint plastic miniatures for war games, of course. Enter miniature war games. They can be set in the dystopia of the 41st millennium, the frozen ruins of the magical city of Felstad, the Eastern Front of the Second World War, or any number of universes. In war games, 2 or more players will enact battles using miniatures and dice to determine their outcomes. The key aspects of this hobby are fourfold: collect, build, paint, and play. Collect. When collecting miniatures to play in war games, people will often take different paths. Do the models look cool? How well do they currently perform in games? Rules are always changing. Some people even have multiple forces for multiple games. Collecting is by far the easiest part of the hobby, and the collections of miniatures are often referred to as piles of shame, or the more positive, mountains of potential. Build. When I first started, I felt that building my army was the most boring part. In this stage, we apply various adhesives to bring these models together, off their frames after cleaning up mold lines. This can be a fairly basic step, but many hobbyists enjoy combining pieces of different models that were meant to go together to make something unique. This is called kit bashing, and adds a custom feeling to your collection. In addition to this tangent on the hobby, many people design in 3D modeling programs, thus creating a sort of cottage industry, or even sculpt various parts out of epoxy putty or clay. As you can see, this is a very hands-on and creative hobby. Paint. This is my favorite part. After all that buying, ouch, and building, also ouch, we start to put fancy colors on our little plastic soldiers. We can go as simple as priming and applying simple schemes for tournaments, dubbed the 3-color minimum, to masterful works of art to be judged in competitions, and everything in between. There are many different styles, including that used by the Games Workshop painting studio called IVth, featuring clean lines and high contrast. The Grimdark or Blanchitsu, my favorite, which utilizes desaturated tones, heavy weathering, and not a little bit of toxic chemicals. There's also the shading style of comic books, and many more. While not a requirement for playing in person, many people will agree that playing a fully painted army looks great and feels even better as an accomplishment, adds to the enjoyment and immersion of our games, and is a great creative outlet for those with the ability. Play. This is where the special sauce of wargaming is made. Playing the games we love with people we love. Sometimes fermented beverages and snacks are involved.
And this is why mine is sweeter.
Usually there's a bit of joyful banter, and always there's someone cool to play with, especially in Bend at Modern Games. Over the last year or so, my friends and I have been putting in the effort and abusing our livers to build a community of acceptance and joy. Gamership has exploded, and every day our community is buzzing with conversation. We are very proud of our growth and what it means to everyone involved. As I hope you've guessed, miniature tabletop gaming is by its very nature a social activity, and being in quarantine robbed us wargamers of the opportunity to engage in that aspect. Many of us suffered depression and anxiety because we had lost such a precious outlet. In many cases, though, the painting and battle simulation never stopped, and the online community of wargame enthusiasts truly blossomed. Coming out of our quarantines was like getting a breath of fresh air after living in a dark, dank cave. We're now free to share the work we've done on our armies, our insights to the hobby, and start building communities around this activity we love. If any part of this hobby inspires you, visit your friendly local gaming store and ask about the community there. There's a good chance you'll be pushing around little goblins, throwing dice, and telling new stories in no time. Lastly, remember, it doesn't have to look great. Shit, it doesn't even need to look good. You just need to have fun doing it. Luminous out.
Blood for the Blood God!